Welcome to Fierce and Fearless, the go-to podcast for the modern, unstoppable woman. We are your hosts, and I'm Sonali Singh, a fitness enthusiast, a fierce entrepreneur, and the founder of Feed Smart.
And I'm Zoe Modgill, your guide to all things fitness, nutrition, and beyond, encouraging strength in every aspect of life.
Together, we're here to explore the world and the spectrum of womanhood, motherhood, careers, fitness, nutrition, and even mental health.
We're here not just to share insights, but to debunk myths and offer tangible tips that empower you to lead a life that's both dynamic and balanced.
So get ready to explore new perspectives.
Let's dive in.
Hi guys, I'm Zoe and welcome back to Fierce and Fearless. Today's episode is slimming secrets. I think that everybody wants to know about how to lose weight. It is definitely a question I get asked all the time. And today we are going to be unpacking the real deal behind the quick fix ideas, the emotional roller coaster of weight loss, and of course, trying to get rid of these persistent myths that I think many people have.
Hi everyone, Sonali here. And today we're going to slice through that noise about weight loss, right? Of course, it's about cutting calories and hitting the gym, but there's so much that we get wrong. There's so much we don't know. And I think the one realization that we would want you to have at the end of this episode is the fact that it's a very personal journey. What worked for me, what worked for Zoe, what works for you is just not ever going to be the same. And if you can understand that and imbibe that, then you will go a bit easier on yourself, but you'll also try to figure out what works for your body as an individual. So yeah, let's deep dive into it.
There's a lot that I would add to that little bit right there because I ask so many of my clients straight up, because honestly, what gets us to this point and this question in our life is usually everything to do with vanity, right? It gets us asking, we want to lose weight because we want to look a certain way. Society's made it really impossible not to have this come across our minds at some point. And the problem with this is that many people, which is also what I asked you, was, are you in the right weight height category? That is one of the best questions to ask yourself before you start to stress yourself out about this entire weight loss journey of yours. For instance, Sonali, in this case, I would love to ask the question of why you want to lose weight in the first place. And I think that understanding values is important. So, Sonali, what is your reason and how have you been dealing with it?
Yeah. So I've been someone who's been born into a gene pool that is known more to keep weight on than off, which is the Marwari gene pool. I've struggled with weight since I was like 10. I was definitely slightly chubbier and fatter. It's always been a harder journey for me compared to a lot of my friends. I'm finally in that weight category. It's taken a long time for me to reach there post-pregnancy. And now I think my entire outlook to fitness, being healthy, I wouldn't call it weight loss, but just feeling good and looking a certain way maybe, is more about cutting out my visceral fat as much as I can and then get back to really putting on some muscle and gains. But that's not what everybody wants to do. It could be totally different for another person. So that's my personal sort of goal as of now, if you ask me today. But a lot of my weight loss has also been just that not feeling good and comfortable in the body I was, right? Extra weight to carry or clothes not looking good, right? Like you said, vanity, it does really play an important role into what fuels that journey within us.
I don't know whether we had actually thought about bringing this angle into today's episode, but just listening to you makes me realize how it has just become so much of a hot topic that actually is so much driven by stuff that people hear from different sources. There's so much like uncredited information out there. There's so much of people saying, like you said, this works for me, you should try this myth. If we were to really get into the myth busting areas, some of the things that you hear, like no carbs, I'm on a keto diet, I don't eat after a certain time, I'm not going to do any exercise, but I'm just going to eat really little. I've heard like the craziest things, especially obviously you're going to look a certain way, so you spend your entire day in the gym. And people think that they need to do those things in order to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And the topic I find relevant from this perspective is that society and this whole idea of vanity and looking a certain way, if you were to think about it from a health perspective as a starting point, number one is, I think, a better way to address it which is how I have learned and developed. And what I teach and practice is to say that, yes, I am in a healthier category. Two, I think that it's important that we understand that our bodies, if you really break it down, are designed to move. Every body part in our body is designed to move. It all has a function. And my goal and everyone's goal that I try to push them towards is performance. It doesn't have to be excelling, but it needs to be like, you know what? Carry your bag outside the door. Pick it up from the floor. I can pull this. I can do that. I can get this. And not choose the option to not use your body in that moment. Because in this day and age, that option is so readily available now to not actually have to do anything to move, which is the few things that I think are what people forget. These very two basic factors will help you make this easier.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting, sir, because we spoke about this in one of our previous episodes on independence as women, right? There is that thing that you're anyways physically weaker, or your body is made structurally in a certain way that you are weaker than a man. And then we just drill down so deep into it and say, oh, I need someone to pick up my bags, or why is he not even offering to pick up my bags? And I'm like the kind of person who gets offended if someone asks me, right? Shall I help you? I was like,
me.
I was like, let me help you. Okay. And don't be okay with it. You got to pick up your own weight and you got to pick up your own things. And that all comes to basically moving. And this is again linked to what we discussed in the protein topic, right? That ultimately muscle is what's going to keep us going our entire life. Believe in that and build on it. But today, I think we're focusing a lot more on what goes in as opposed to what we do with the body, like what goes inside the body.
No amount of exercise can outdo what you put into your body in terms of nutrition. You can't out-train a bad diet. You just cannot. Okay. I think
I'm a living example.
And it's not about not having the fun stuff, so to say, into your life, like desserts, alcohol, if you choose so, fine. But the truth is about understanding that balance, when to call it no, not to overstep. That comes down to people's understanding of what their reason for weight loss really is. Like I said, if you can check it off as a category that you fit into in terms of just health, then you can break it down into, am I doing the absolute basics? And I know it's always boring to hear it, but the understanding your genetics, that you said that these play a certain role in how you will look. If you are short and stout and small, you cannot change that. Okay. No matter how much you try. No matter how much you try to lose weight, if you are not tall and thin and long boned, you are not going to look like a model. Okay. Secondly, the next thing that you need to try to think about is, if your health is in check, your hormones will be in check. Right? Your gut will be functioning correctly. These are essentials. Sometimes they require detoxing, sometimes they don't. But what they do understand and what they do need is an understanding of how to keep feeding that gut so it stays well. And a very simple way that I learned was to feed it as much variety of greens as possible. This will help your gut stay and flourish well. Okay. In turn, you'll see your skin will be better. In turn, your complexion, your energy levels, all of that is related to your gut. It's not called your second brain for nothing. Okay. The next thing I just quickly want to put in here is the role of sleep. Of course, as a new mom, I'm struggling with this for a while, as a mom in general, but it matters. Trying to get good restful sleep, actually, and that means actually watching your caffeine intake. It actually means watching your screen time, which brings it back to getting a way to de-stress ourselves from the crazy lives we live in. These basics, I just want to get them out of the way. If you're not already doing them or addressing them in some way, you are likely to fail very miserably at any other diet that you try to follow or work with. These basics are so important.
100%. They're like foundations. But I do also would want to throw in like the myth busting of that carbohydrates, like don't eat carbohydrates. I do think that depending on where you are in your weight loss journey, avoiding things like that for a certain amount of time, break that cycle. And I did it. Like I went for 3 months on a gut cleanse where I did eat sugar and carbohydrates, right? For 3 months. But then I slowly built it back in, and I now keep it under check and under limited quantities. But I also make sure that my protein intake is what it should be, correct? Which is 80 grams minimum in a day. These myths, of course, you can't not eat carbohydrates your entire life, right? It's just not possible. But if you are at that situation, if you are in a place where you've got a lot to lose, or you've been really unhealthy, sometimes certain drastic changes to who you are and what you eat actually really help. And then you get back, you go drastic, you drop, and then you come back to being sustainable slowly. But that sustainable has to be something that you enjoy doing. If you enjoy eating dark chocolate or chocolate in a day, then you start building that in, right? You don't just suddenly slam in a bar of chocolate, but you maybe have a couple of pieces a day and see how it works on you and your body. I like to take my chocolate after my meal, and I haven't stopped doing that once I restarted eating the way I like to eat. But then I won't eat it after 5 o'clock. Like, I keep those rules.
I just have a very different take. I'm a kind of person that if we were to highlight something too much, it becomes a problem. It's just my take. It doesn't have to be what people think. So I try very hard to never enforce rules and call them rules. I say, you know what? Why am I recommending you have more carbs now or not have them for a few days or this or that, or you play around with things like that, or take this out? The reason why I do that with many of my clients, just as a taster, it's never as a standard thing, and it's never for very long. It's just for them to come back to me to be like, what? I identified that how I felt without this when I did this was like this.
Yeah.
When they start to feel like like for me, what do I look at a carbohydrate as? This is how I get my energy on. I want to get moving fast, quick, do something. That's why movement is important to me. That's number one. We already addressed that. Understanding that movement is required. Okay, there are many people who, in my own family, I can't get them to move off the sofa. Okay, people who want to lose weight and sit on the sofa, dude, honestly, it's a different, I don't even know how, it can't actually happen, and it's not going to be healthy. So if you understand that movement it's an option where, you know what, you have to do it, right? Yeah. Now, if you then look at something like carbohydrates, since we brought that up, eliminating it for too long means mentally you need to tap in to finding power and energy from a different source. Now, this is not easy for people to do. Let me tell you, it comes down to the kind of personality that you are. It really does, or what your mindset is as a person. It is very difficult because it is an instant energy lift, carbohydrate. It is an instant fulfillment, which you do not get from other things very easily.
Yeah, but you can choose, right? You can choose your carb sources. You can be intelligent about it. You can do a basic portion control, right?
Restrictions, when you give them to a layperson, like on a regular basis, it makes it feel too hard. It starts to become, if they cross that, that's actually the worst thing they have done. And they feel so shitty about it that they're actually scared to even attempt to try to do it again. I've seen this quite often.
Don't they see change? Like, they will see change if they don't eat carbs, right?
They'll see change in their physical appearance, firstly, which is the worst way to go because it is your body takes up more space when you eat carbohydrates. It's not fat necessarily. Your muscles swell up in size when you eat more carbohydrate. That's why there's a lot of play with water. Water is retained in the body when you eat carbohydrates, right? So using your carbohydrates around your workouts will benefit you quite greatly. You need to be in a different mindset and like what you're trying to do when you try and do it on a regular basis and use it as just, you know what, I'm going to lie down on the couch now, but I'm not allowed to eat that roti and that rice. It's quite hard for somebody to acknowledge doing that. It depends. See, I feel like for you, I don't call my journey anything to do with weight loss anymore. Mine is purely a performance-based like drive is what I try to keep myself. I keep myself in check because I feel like how I feel will affect how I perform. But a regular person out there where exercise and nutrition can't be their end all and be all, which is everybody else. You and me, I don't think fit in that category because nutrition is your area of work as well. So you are much more in tune to be hearing about it a lot. But the average person who doesn't have time to focus on a lot of things, when we ask them to eliminate certain things, I find a better approach is to just make sure your plate has a little bit of everything every time, because it works easier for you mentally to not have to worry, because what even you realized was like even dals and a big amount of vegetables are carbohydrates. So you are going to actually find it quite more actually overwhelming if we were to necessarily approach it like that. If you are somebody who is starting out on this weight loss journey, or if you are somebody who feels they are not getting results and they have tried everything, which is always an opening email that I get from every client. Zoe, I have tried everything, but I just can't lose this weight. So you have to think about your reasoning, your understanding of how you can do things. I think that this will bring us on to the next bit, which is a little bit about the emotional weight that comes with this whole burden of losing weight. And I think that people end up, I have a segment in what I ask people when they're coaching, when I'm going to coach them, and it's about why they eat. Why do they find that they eat what they eat? And so much of those questions can be attached to boredom, sadness, anxiety. Stress is like one of the biggest things of like how they connect food to an emotion.
Oh, yes. I live it daily. And I've told you this. I used to do a lot of emotional eating when I was a teenager, which is when I had bulimia, because I used to just eat, and then I would just puke it all out because I couldn't understand I was so affected by being a teenager and wanting to look a certain way, Barbie, cosmopolitan, but then I didn't know how to control what I ate either. So the easiest thing for me was just to eat what I want and then just not let my body absorb it. But I had no idea that's just going to break my nutritional foundation and weaken my gut to a level which I'm probably dealing with it still. But and I'm a stress eater.
Tell me one thing, Sonali. At that time, when you realized you were dealing with these things, did you ever reach out for help?
No, I just let it go till rock bottom. And then once when I had an issue when I was hospitalized and everything, that's when I think it hit me. And that's when I took to working out, because then I realized that this is just not going to work. I'm so weak because there's just nothing in my body.
So I think it's important for me to just like highlight over here is that it's very common for your emotions to get the better of you in this world we live in today. Our worthiness is dictated by how much we weigh. It's like something that is women, men, everybody, they do suffer from it, but women in particular. And it's important that when it's on repeat, these acts that are happening, like in your case where you would eat excessively and then try to get rid of it. If this is something that starts to happen to you on a very regular basis, the idea of reaching for help is a very important one. And it's not a sign of you being weak. It's a sign of strength to step in before the damage gets too much.
And the thing is, I've also realized that when you are eating out of stress or emotionally eating, like we were discussing just before we start recording, like I know because of just the way my body wants to eat, I know I'm going to start my period. There is just sudden spike of need of sugar and the wrong processed food. I don't know what it is. But the thing is, and I just say that, okay, fine. It's okay. I've been good. I've been leading such a healthy time. So when I have my period, I want to eat an almond croissant and a cupcake and a bag of chips, I'm going to do it. If you actually get aware and recognize that I'm stress eating as a person, and then just say, fine, it's okay, just stress eat. I think that also, then you suddenly don't really eat that much. And I've tried to play that psyche in me, right? Okay, I know that, okay, I'm having a tough time at work. I want to nibble. I need to eat. I was okay, fine, do it. And you play with your mind like that. So I think once you elevate that, oh my God, I'm stress eating. Once you take that away and you say, fine, just go ahead, do it, do what you want. We'll deal with it later. I feel that you don't really you eat less and it's not such a big deal.
It's a good understanding of it. And what I try to do is, and what I do, even this is a way that I practice it for myself as well. And I think that it's a little trick that I'm giving away. And it is that I have a bunch of meals that are my go-to meals when I'm stressed. And they are meals that actually satisfy me. They make me feel great. Okay, so they can be anything with eggs, number one. Okay, I just love eggs.
Okay, I know you love eggs, but how can you eat eggs?
No, because see, I'll tell you how it is. You can ask anyone close to me, and it's crazy because I have, even if this required a certain amount of training, because I'm very much about somebody who knows how to train their mind. Okay, it's important that I can do this, and eggs I know benefit me hugely, but I will never regularly order an eggs Benedict on a nice muffin, buttery bread, hollandaise sauce, all that on the side. You know what calories you're talking about? Something like 800 calories in an egg meal. Okay? That's half your calorie intake almost in a day. But I'll have it if I need to binge eat and it's what's on the menu and I'm stressed, so I don't like something or I'm uncomfortable. It's something I'll reach for. But
the next one you're going to say is salmon, okay? Please.
No. Chocolate. And I give myself chocolate on a regular basis. I don't take
85% dark chocolate.
So I'm not going to lie, in the last 4 years, I'm usually at the 70% mark. Okay, I've not made it to the 90% mark, which I used to be back 70%. But if I go out and I see a dark chocolate dessert on the menu, I'll have it. It's like I can have it, right? Banana cake versus a crappy, really horrible, chocolatey, whatever cake made from not so great ingredients. I will have a banana cake, the drop of the hat, any time of the day with chocolate chips in it, happily, from anywhere. You can give me a banana cake from anywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
And it craves it takes care of my sweet cravings. Now, I'm not going to be, I want to have red velvet cake as my option here and there, or like with white frosting and cream on the top and blah, blah, blah. But if I go to Starbucks and I want to get a drink, like one of those drinks with whipped cream, you're looking at something like 500 calories, 600 calories in a drink. Now, if I was to allow myself to have that 600 calorie drink every time, what do I need to do? I need to find a substitute that is equally satisfying, but find a way to keep the calories in. So even if it's like an oat milk latte with, I don't know, green tea added in with like a vanilla shot, like one vanilla shot versus 2 vanilla shots, you're still finding a way to enjoy something that you like, but not depriving yourself so that you're like, oh, I'm only going to have it on this particular time. Because I actually find that a very difficult way to function, which will bite you in the bum at some point if you kind of function like that. So I think finding alternatives, like salty snacks. Chips is big, okay? Salted makhanas or the flavored ones in the packet are always going to be a better option.
Of course.
Anything. But they won't do it. People won't do it. Like lachas, dude. What is it with lachas and people and this?
Love it. I've just eliminated from my life, okay? But
it's just, and it should be eliminated. You've got to find another way that you will be somewhat satisfied, even if it's in the salt quantity or the masala quantity, but find a different product that does something for you so that you can have it quite often.
Yeah.
My point is to find that thing that you can have. Not that it's a no, and if you have it, you feel so shitty afterwards. Very rarely will someone actually always say that they felt great after having this thing that they have made to be such a big thing in their life. They'll actually find ways to get it out of their system. I need to over-exercise. I need to overdo this. I need to whatever because I had this yesterday. I find like it's a more healthier version to find yourself somewhere where you can have it quite often and not feel like you need to pay the price.
I agree. And while you were saying, I definitely have my go-tos, the Filet-O-Fish burger or...
Not one. I need 3. If I'm having that, it's going to be 3.
All need for potatoes.
Right. In fact, I haven't had a Filet-O-Fish in a really long time. Like really long. I should probably have
that's definitely a cheat meal for me.
Do you have the fries?
Yeah, of course.
I don't eat the fries. Not with the Filet-O-Fish. If I'm going to have it, I'm just like, you know what, I'd rather have the 3 pieces of fish that were made 4 years ago than having the French fries.
I'd rather remove that one extra bun, remove 3 buns and have the French fries.
But the point is to find a way that satisfies you where it's not something that is never on the agenda. I used to have it once a week. In fact, dude, I don't know if you follow The Rock. Do you follow The Rock?
No.
I do because of Under Armour and he's the ambassador of it. But he has like a 1 week cheat meal, okay?
Yeah.
That he calls it a cheat meal, okay? I'm not a fan of the word, but he calls it. And it's like 10 pancakes stacked up like over here. It's 5 or 6 cookies. It's then a train of sushi is what he calls it. And it's all of this like in one meal that happens like once a week, which kind of actually, there's a lot of chain of thought about how that jumpstarts your system. It shocks it so much that it actually restarts it and reboots it. And it's a good thing to get your system feeling that. But he then probably eats so controlled the rest of the week to achieve what his goals are, right? Which is massive muscular building. It requires a different way of eating. So I feel like people need to also understand that giving yourself that cheat meal prize means you have really restricted yourself. You're on the other end where you need to think of it as a cheat meal. The average person should more so try to find that balance in the middle rather than being one or the other, because it's very hard to maintain that. Like the way that he gyms, nobody gyms.
For me, fasting has worked really well. And I know you're not a fan, but...
Not just me. The stories out there that the readings and the stuff that shows that for women, intermittent fasting is actually not that great for their hormonal balances. It's up to you. It's about you deciding what works and can you do this in the long run is what I said. And I believe by that.
And I don't believe in like 20 hours or something. Just a simple 14-hour fast, which is very doable.
Suppose you're hungry like 2 hours before. Do you eat or you say no?
No, I say no.
20 minutes before?
Yeah, maybe. If I've been good the whole week, okay, fine. If I'm really hungry, but generally it's all it's mental hunger, right? If you just have some water or fresh lime soda without sugar, that hunger will go, right? But what is worked for me is I've eliminated dinner, right? That has helped me because then I start eating in the morning before my workout, which is at 6:30 in the morning. So that cycle has, I'm still eating. I'm eating 3 to 4 to 5 meals, but I've changed my window according to my lifestyle. And that has worked for me. So even if sometimes I go out or if I'm traveling, which does not have as much as movement as your 40th birthday did, and we didn't eat salmon and eggs for every meal. So I end up eating a lot of what normal people would eat when they go for Yadu's birthday, went to Ranthambore. But both of us didn't eat after 5:36. We ate everything at that breakfast, hash browns or whatever, chaparanthas, the works. But then we didn't eat after 5:36, and we were okay with that. And then that kind of helped metabolize and just not put on weight on a trip either. You have to find what works for your body.
It's just about the general atmosphere that revolves around this concept of weight loss. And suppose I went on a holiday with you and Yadu and you guys refused to eat after 5:30. I would find that quite annoying.
Yes.
Like, I just would. Right? Yeah. Now, the thing is that, and even now, like I put Zai to sleep and everything sometimes. And when I come out, dude, it can be like 11 and I haven't eaten. And people are like, you eat your dinner at 11 o'clock. And I'm just like, it just adjusts to my life day because it just can. Yeah. And I'm not stressed about it. If I go to sleep on a full stomach and then I wake up and then I work out, or I work out the next day, or I don't actually link my daily changes to how I eat, if that makes sense. I am able to adjust it up and down and be like, oh, lunch, breakfast, dinner, 2 snacks. That's just how I function. But
yeah, but you're not the normal. You're an anomaly. Okay.
I am, right? But the truth is that I find it would be easier if people didn't give so much focus and attention as an overall thing to these things, somehow with some kind of rewiring that needs to happen in the mind. It takes time. But if that could be the approach rather than, and also understanding what and why, like, why do we fast? Like, why do we have our carbohydrates? What is a better source of the carbohydrate? Why do I need the fat? Why do I need to eat? What is the fat? You ask people to even break these things down, they won't even understand. Even the most bizarre question is people don't understand what they're doing when they exercise. They think they're losing weight in the gym. You are not losing weight when you exercise. It is just not what you are doing. You are not. You think you are utilizing the calories that are there, and that's what like determines your weight loss.
No, this is a big myth that going to the gym equals to weight loss. And like I said, I'm a living example because I did it for so long. And I didn't, and I was like, no, dude, look at the HIT and the CrossFit that I do. I'm going to lose this weight. And I would not, and my eating was just not balanced. But once I had to go on this gut cleanse or this whole thing for 3 months that made me drop and come down to what my average weight should be in my height. And now when I when I work out, it's totally different. My mindset has changed. I finally like, okay, fine. I'm now working out with a very different purpose in mind.
Do you get stressed when you gain 2 kgs?
Yes, I would get stressed. Yes.
Yeah, which I would. Most people do. Is it something that comes on my mind when I stand on the scale? Yes. I see it, I'm like, why? But I know why I've gained.
Yeah, I know why. And I know what to do now to just come back.
But most people will, but they won't know that. They won't understand. They'll be like, you know what? I ate a bar of chocolate yesterday. That's not the answer. That is not why you are heavier on the weighing scale, right? You understand? Like, it is not, because, I don't know, I went out for Chinese food last night. It's also not fat. That is what you are looking at on the weighing scale, which people don't understand. When you just eat out of character, it is water retention 95% of the time. You cannot gain weight overnight. You gain water retention. So attaching a lot of attention to the weighing scale is also such a massive problem in our society at the moment. And then nobody notices it but you on the weighing scale. And then if you go out and have fun, you come back the next day, you're like, oh, I lost a kg. I feel fabulous. And the truth is that why do we get fixed in this circle and this cycle of finding ways to justify our worthiness and our joys and our stuff, why are they connected to this weight loss thing, which is a really bigger question, which I think maybe we'd have to get somebody on maybe to get another angle between us at some point.
Yeah.
But I think that wrapping it round to this idea of like our journeys being different when we ultimately want to reach the same point of being a certain weight that we are, or what we think makes us a better person, is quite a debatable topic in itself, which is a tough one.
But see, again, it's all about how you feel, right? And ultimately, if we keep the weight part aside, that's definitely something that plays in everyone's mind. But if you're slightly aware as a person, you will know how you feel with the food that you have eaten that day. And if you're able to understand that, then you will automatically start choosing different foods. I think so many people are completely blinded by how their body feels or it functions, or their energy levels, and how deeply it is linked to what we eat. Even the thoughts that come to your mind are linked
Yeah.
to, if you're on a highly processed food diet versus a balanced meal with all your macros, nutrients, home cooked, the difference of how you just feel as a human being, regardless of what weight you are, is massive. Right. And
Yeah.
once you're able to tap into that, then I think people then suddenly realize, okay, maybe that I can't lead everything. I can't just lead my food choices based on how well it tastes in my tongue. There's also about how my
Yeah.
body feels and how my gut feels. And that's
Yeah.
the change that's the tipping point, I think,
Yeah.
because regardless of what your weight is, that's secondary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if we were to put this all together in this
Yeah.
way that people can actually benefit from listening to our discussion, I think it would be that everyone's journeys, you also said right at the start, are totally going to be different. What works for you might not work for me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, is about being truthful to you as a person and knowing your values, what does actually make you happy, and also making sure that if you take that away, it doesn't change who you are, which is what I get worried about. And it's an interesting thing because now there are so many women out there who are embracing being quite obese. I don't know, as a fitness trainer, whether I promote this idea. It's a tough one. And there's a lot of women out there who get very passionate about being a very big size person. And whether we can say that they became that big by eating good balanced meals and good food, we don't know what they ate. Like they'll be eating very wrong, refined things, but they look pretty happy to me, right?
Yeah.
They act like they're happy. They are able to look their best. They look pretty fantastic. How can we definitely say that relating what they've chosen to eat, are they really happy? Now, that is a question only they can answer. And is their day happy? And sometimes it really is, maybe. So
I don't think it's possible.
It's
100% say that it will catch up.
It does. And I think if anything, what will catch up is that you will end up having a problem health-wise, which will make you realize that. And when you're stopped from doing something because of a health factor, that's when everybody starts to act, which is the stupidest thing, right? They'll wait till they have a mini heart attack to start to change like things in their life, like the oils they eat or the food that they put or the snacks that they snack on. And what does every person, every doctor tell you, and not very persistently when you leave there? Please walk, please join the gym, please be active. People don't take that seriously enough until it comes to a point that their health has taken a toll, and it will, whether it's through diabetes, whether it is through obesity, whether it is through heart problems, bone density problems. All these things are linked very much to what you put into your body, how much you move your body, and how you make yourself feel, and if it's truthful, which will come down to you embracing your journey, but knowing your emotional quotient, which I think many people are failing to be in alignment with. They might be doing a lot of things where, you know what, I'm doing sound healing, I'm doing sound therapy, I'm doing Vipassana, I'm doing this detox, they're doing so many things, but how much of those things that you learn do you bring back and then practice every day in your everyday life? Like these things that we've talked about, which is like sleep, exercise, and food, are as important as pooping, sleeping, doing it because your body actually needs these couple of things. Eating something, you need them. So if you can put in movement in a very important way into that list, if you can make sure that what you eat is a chosen, good sourced product versus something crappy, you are already winning. in that weight loss category. Your body will already change. If you can cook more at home, eat more cooked meals, you on yourself are going to start to see such a massive difference in energy levels, in the way in which you tackle problems that come your way, your stress levels. All of these things are going to be much more in sync. And I think it's about getting those things, the very basics that don't need you to sign up with a nutritionist. They don't need you to sign up with some crazy fad diet that you've seen. They really need you to check into your lifestyle, what's important to you, how you spend your day, where you can make those changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my take home is probably a summary of everything that we've also discussed. Eating for your soul does not equal to a diet, right? The minute you're able to understand that and eat in accordance to what you truly need and what makes you feel good and does not activate a lot of other things in your body or your mind, you will understand that you're not on a diet, you're just doing an overall lifestyle change, right? And if it means, for example, for me, it meant I needed to give up alcohol. So I did that and I know how much it's benefited me. But if for you, it means I still need to have, let's say, 3 drinks over the weekend, then go for it, right?
I just want to bring in right over there about that alcohol bit. Very importantly, what people just forget about this alcohol situation is that when you drink alcohol, your body cannot burn any fat for about 48 hours. People should remember that as a factor. They can do some research and the science. Like I said, the more knowledge you have, the better.
And the ultimate goal is that, right? But the few things, right? And maybe like for me, if I focus more on my protein intake versus how much of carb I'm not eating, it works better. If I lead your meal with the protein that you're eating, then add a bit of carbs, a bit of fat, a bit of chutney, a bit of rice, whatever, works great. But that diet mindset is something that I've done it for short-term gain, but I definitely don't think that it works long-term.
Yeah.
It does not work long-term, but short-term, if you need to just cut out fat, drop a few kgs, shock your system, do it, right? But then when you sustainably get back properly, that would be my take home. And be aware and accept emotional eating. I've started accepting emotional eating. I think it's just part of being 40. Just deal with it. Just manage it within your other eating cycles and your journey with food.
So even though I feel like I said a little bit more about this stuff already, but I, as always, have a written take home that I definitely want to read out as well. And I think that for me, the real talk is that losing weight isn't just about the numbers on the scale or the food on your plate, actually. It's actually about understanding and loving yourself deeply. It really is about these couple of things. And so much so that you can attune into what you need, why you need it, and actually then provide for yourself in that way. And I think that is a very strong, important message that should not ultimately end you up at the fridge trying to like rummage through your emotions by finding some snacks. You should know why and what is happening and allow yourself every now and then and not beat yourself up about it, because it's not about society pressurizing you to look a certain way. It's not about following the contradictory advice that you will feel that you need to all the time because you're trying to navigate how you feel. And the word comfort is something that we haven't used yet, but food becomes this comfort blanket for a lot of things that we don't want to deal with, because that moment of euphoria that comes when you eat something that you really love, you're allowed to just block out what you're thinking about for that moment of time. Because the fierce truth, honestly, is that weight loss, like you said, is a very deep personal journey, but it does require you to strip away a lot of the pressures, understand your needs and your desires, remove them aside, be functional about it, enjoy it, but also be practical and be realistic and be sustainable. Don't call it a diet, call it, this is the way I eat. And it should be that. Like, this is just how I eat. You're not just shedding pounds. You're not just shedding something that looks like it is moving on the weighing scale, but instead you're actually becoming a stronger you, a more empowered you. And you just want to do it because you genuinely want to live a healthier, stronger, longer life.
Yeah. And I think what you said, right, this is how I eat. If you can identify that, then it's so amazing, because this is how I eat is very different to this is how you eat. You'll already see that with the two of us. Now imagine you put 10 people in a room. Everyone's how they eat and how they best function within that is so different. That's a very important take home, to know that this is the way you eat and is very different to everyone else. So
and it should be. And it should be.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it should be an honest one from you.
Yes.
You should know that
Exactly.
this is,
Yeah.
which I think people have to work on.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Stay fierce, stay fearless. Lots of love.
Yep.
Write to us.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
And that wraps up another episode of Fierce and Fearless. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey.
We hope you're going to walk away with some great insights, feel absolutely inspired, and ready to challenge norms. Come on then, just go and make your mark.
Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on all our latest episodes. And if you loved what you heard today, please leave us a review.
And if you've got questions or you want us to discuss certain topics, just reach out to us. You can send us a message on our social media handles, Zoe Modgill or Feed Smart. We absolutely love hearing from you.
Until next time, stay fierce, stay fearless, and remember, every small step is part of your bigger journey.